Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got a few stories for you in this particular video, all having to do with the beloved SEC within the United States. Oh, the beloved SEC. Don't you just wish that the SEC itself were just one big physical entity so you could just run up and give it an old bear hug? Oh, I know, we all wish we could do that. Well, here's a release from the SEC today. SEC suspends trading in multiple issuers based on social media and trading activity. I've got this headline from the Daily Hodl, which is titled, Crypto Project Backed by Billionaire Tim Draper Shutting Down Amid Scrutiny from SEC. Oh yes, indeed, they're not going to stop at Ripple and XRP, my friends. Oh no, they're just getting revved up here. And then there's attorney Jeremy Hogan, who shared some new opinions today, and he believes that the case of the SEC versus Ripple may very well hinge on one very crucial factor that not really anyone's been focusing on, and I found it to be an interesting point. So I'm also going to share with you some of the opinions that he's articulated, along with some of my thoughts on the topic. But before we get going here, I do want to be clear that I don't have a legal background of any kind. I also don't have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast in the space, and I enjoy making YouTube videos purely as a hobby that is indeed all that it is. Shout out to my fellow XRP YouTuber, James Rule XRP, for sending this to me in my Twitter direct message, my inbox there. Again, this titled, and this is a release from today, February 26, 2021, from the SEC. It's titled, SEC Suspends Trading in Multiple Issuers Based on Social Media and Trading Activity. Now, in seeing some feedback, there are some people talking about this on Twitter. I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding, primarily I'm assuming from people who didn't actually read this piece. I got the feeling that people were thinking it was a Wall Street bets type of thing, and the SEC was just coming in and shutting down that type of activity, and that's actually not so much the case. Take a look at this. It reads as follows. As part of its continuing effort to respond to potential attempts to exploit investors during the recent market volatility, the Securities and Exchange Commission today suspended trading in the securities of 15 companies because of questionable trading and social media activity. And I'm not going to read all of them. They're listed here on your screen. If you actually want to take a look, you can. As far as I know, like, none of the names jumped out at me. They don't sound like a cryptocurrency-related company. So as far as I know, all of them are unrelated to crypto. And if you just jump down to the third paragraph, I think this is the part I wanted to jump in here. Yeah, here's a quote. The SEC's recent suspensions of trading in nearly 24 securities, including 15 today, are one facet of our ongoing efforts to police the market and protect investors, said Melissa Hodgman, acting director of the SEC's Division of Enforcement. We proactively monitor for suspicious trading activity tied to stock promotions, there you go, that's kind of key, on social media, and act quickly to stop that trading when appropriate to safeguard the public interest. We also remind investors to exercise caution and do their diligence before investing generally, including in companies promoted on social media. So really, they're talking about these entities that are basically promoting themselves, and that's a no-no that's easy to stop. And so that is a bit different than what's going on with the SEC versus Ripple, not even close, really. And it's certainly very different, despite what it may sound like on the surface, just based on the headline of this immediate release here that came out today. Really nothing to do with the Wall Street bets type stuff either. So I just thought I'd mention that before moving on. Now, this piece was interesting. The Daily Hodl Crypto Project, backed by billionaire Tim Draper, shutting down amid scrutiny from SEC. A U.S.-based crypto project backed by billionaire venture capitalist Tim Draper is ceasing operations less than a year after its token launch. And so this one is certainly crypto-related. Tim Draper, he is pro-Bitcoin, but he's not a maximalist. He's pro-crypto, frankly. And this guy's a hoot. If you're not familiar with him, I'm sure many of you are if you've been in the world of crypto for a little while. He's a hoot, though. I had the chance of seeing him. I mentioned this a few times on the channel, but I actually got to see him at a blockchain conference in LA a few years back. And he just came out and he was trying to get the crowd all pumped up, and he started doing jumping jacks. This guy's a hoot. I like this guy anyway. But I didn't even know that he was doing this. I mean, maybe I've seen it in the news, but I can only retain so much information with my simple little moon Lambo mind. But anyway, the piece continues. DeFi money market DAO. And so I guess the coin for short is DMM, which allowed users to earn 6.5% APY on specific staked assets, has announced a sudden and permanent shutdown. Just 1 week prior to the news, the company held a t-shirt design contest for which the prize would be 1,000 of the platform's native DMG tokens. Originally, the team cited, quote, regulatory inquiries as the reason for its quick shutdown, but the team has provided a more detailed explanation for the decision, revealing that the project was facing scrutiny from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Well, how about that? They're going to keep attacking crypto. And since, and look, I don't know a ton of the specifics. I'm going to share with you what I know further. I'm not done with this yet. I'm almost done with this particular piece, but there's not a ton of facts here. I just wanted to highlight this so that people can get the idea that the SEC, they are absolutely coming after the crypto asset class. And that's not to say that there aren't legitimate instances in which certain businesses should be shut down or penalized or this or that. I'm not saying that there aren't those situations. I'm just warning you that if things go poorly with the SEC versus Ripple case, it's going to be really messy for even the good actors in this space. You're going to find yourself in a position where legal precedent makes it almost impossible, if not actually impossible, for your company, your crypto company, to exist within the United States. And that's what the fear is. Now, I certainly hope that we'll have good law and that'll pass and we won't end up seeing that reality. But it is contingent upon good law passing and the right thing happening. And so I'm optimistic because I think that in life and, when things are adjudicated in general, I think by and large, right is done, even if not perfectly, more so towards the end of the spectrum where right is being done. But it's not always that. And so that's why there's this scary little question mark a little bit. It's like, what is actually going to happen? And that's why, unfortunately, you have to just kind of wait and see. But I am at least cautiously optimistic. But take a look at this quote now. In response to recent questions from our community, we are providing additional information about the decision to wind down the project. On December 15th, 2020, DMM received an investigative subpoena from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. And so, what's interesting about this, even though they agreed to shut down, or they just decided to, I don't know if they were strong-armed into it, literally, if they're just like, okay, this is going to be overwhelming. But the thing is, the SEC action doesn't just go away. They're still going after this company, even though they're shutting down. That's interesting, and it's going to be intimidating if you're a company, even if you want to do right in the United States with such ambiguity in terms of regulatory clarity, like lack thereof. Are you going to want to innovate in the United States, or are you going to want to go somewhere else? All right, now, shout out to Jeremy Hogan. He runs a YouTube channel called Legal Briefs, and I encourage you to check him out and subscribe if you've not yet done so. And so if you just type in Legal Briefs in the YouTube search bar, he'll pop right on up. This is his page on the screen right here. And so I'm going to share with you a number of his original ideas. I want to make sure I give him proper credit. I'm a fan of propping up those in the XRP community that are contributing in a meaningful way. And I think that by and large, every community member that has come across Jeremy Hogan, with rare exception, I'm sure, finds the information that he's putting out to be tremendously valuable, as evidenced by the degree to which he's been certainly embraced within the XRP community, given by his growth on YouTube, deservedly so. And his Twitter following is just massively blown up. It's absolutely deserved. And so I want to contribute to that as well, because I personally value the information that he's putting out there. And so I took some notes. I'm going to share with you a number of the thoughts that he put out there along with my analysis, because even though I don't have any sort of legal background, just given that I've been following certainly Ripple and what's happening with developments of XRP for 3+ years, there are certain things that have stuck in this old Moon Lambo brain that are useful from time to time, right? And so again, and where he started, it was just this idea of, there's a crucial factor that really just about nobody's paying attention to. And so, he says basically that at this point, like, Ripple dodged a bullet. And you know what he was talking about? Look, there are a lot of considerations in this case, including the fact that the SEC took 8 years to bring charges against Ripple. There are also legitimate questions regarding to what degree the SEC should have jurisdiction over this case when considering that XRP transactions are a global phenomenon. Those things are important, but Jeremy notes that what frequently gets lost in cases is that judges are people. Just that idea gets lost in cases. Judges are absolutely just human, and that's a point that he was bringing home in his most recent video. And, since they're human, they do get things right, but they also get things wrong. And it was interesting because Jeremy actually had his father have a little cameo in his most recent video, and I encourage you to check it out. He told a really interesting story, which I won't recount here, but I will note that the point in the end is that his father, who used to be a lawyer and also used to be a judge, realized that it would be best in a particular court case if he didn't determine the outcome of a particular case. And he expressed this to both sides, that they really wouldn't like it if he had to make a final ruling, and effectively strong-armed them into reaching a settlement amongst themselves. And they ultimately, after recognizing the degree to which it would be, who knows what the sides, they actually did come together, and it worked out. Even though they couldn't reach a settlement prior to getting to trial, at least I think it went to trial. I could be mistaken there, but it got to the point where once the judge stepped in, Jeremy Hogan's father, they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and try and settle. And they sat down and they talked, and they actually were able to come to some sort of agreement. And they did settle. And so, it's an interesting story, and if you want to hear it, I'll actually link Jeremy Hogan's most recent video below, so feel free to click on that as well. But Jeremy noted that things like this happen every day in court, and the average person has no idea how things are played. And so he thinks that Ripple would be wise to study the judge and tailor their approach in court accordingly. He said sometimes, even if a legal team presents the most masterful case humanly possible in court, it could still fall on deaf ears if the judge ruling over the case can't relate or understand key points. This, of course, goes back to his point that judges are people. And as he was making this point, I mean, it's not like surprising to hear that, but not horrendously, but not coming from that world and not having that firsthand experience for myself. It was just interesting because you might have this idea of judges like they must all know everything. They must all know all. And that's just not true, right? They are humans in the end. And so it was nice to have it broken down like that and articulated in such a way that I hadn't really been thinking about it too terribly. I mean, and of course the thought had crossed my mind, okay, to what degree are they well-versed in the world of crypto and this and that? But, Jeremy broke it down in such a way that it's become clear, at least certainly from his perspective, that it's pretty commonplace to have judges, involved in ruling on things that maybe they're nowhere near being an expert. And at a minimum, that's interesting, I would say, right? And so, anyway, so Jeremy actually, he got transcripts from the Kick Interactive case. We've been talking about on this channel quite a bit, actually. And the judge in that case was in his 80s, mind you. And as such, the content within these transcripts likely won't surprise you. And so Kick Interactive, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there's a company called Kick Interactive that was selling a Kin token. They ended up getting sued by the SEC, and that was a slam dunk win for the SEC. Kick Interactive absolutely lost. Although they were allowed to continue selling the Kin token, they just had to file an exemption letter and give the SEC 45 days notice, among a couple other things. But they actually weren't completely shut down. But I don't want to get. I'm sure many of you are aware. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I've talked about it so frequently on this channel. That should be sufficient for you to get by if you weren't familiar with the case for the rest of this video. But I actually did go ahead and jot down the actual transcript here, and there's a word I wasn't familiar with. Like, I think I have a reasonable vocab, but there's a word here, gravamen, that was used in here that I just wasn't familiar with. And so I looked it up, and the definition is the essence or most serious part of a complaint or accusation or a grievance. And so that word is used in this, and so I just wanted to make sure, because I assume that most people probably are not familiar with that word. I doubt it's just me. But anyway, so there was the SEC attorney and then the judge in this transcript back and forth. And this is brief, but I want to read through this because it's really interesting. Check this out. So the attorney with the SEC in this Kick Interactive case said, where do I want to jump in here? Here we go. The gravamen of the commission's case is that between May and September of 2017, Kick Interactive participated, offered, and sold an unregistered security. The judge says, and that security was, ? And the SEC attorney responds, it was a digital token called KIN, K-I-N. The judge says, a cryptocurrency ? And the SEC lawyer says, that's one term that can be used, to which the judge responds, I refer to it as a digital token or a block key enabled token. And the judge responds, a what ? So you can see already here he's not really getting a what? A fangled fan of what? It's sort of like that. And to which the SEC lawyer, at this point, I'm undoubtedly doing just everything he can to hold back the desire to roll his eyes, right? So the SEC lawyer says, block key enabled token. It's a token that trades on a blockchain on a distributed ledger. To which the judge responds, on a what? This judge is completely clueless, and he's ruled on a very important case. It's fascinating, isn't it? And so the SEC lawyer says, distributed ledger. And then the judge says, distributed ledger, ? SEC lawyer says, yes, Your Honor. To which the judge responds, and he's being honest, I don't know what that is. You gotta love this stuff here, right? I'm so glad Jeremy found that transcript. That is pure gold right there. I was just kind of chuckling as I discovered this on my own. I was like, well, on my own, having watched this video, that's what I meant. But it's just like, holy freaking hell. And so anyway, that judge is retired now. And again, he was in his 80s, right? So you can imagine trying to explain to this judge what XRP is, right? Can you imagine if you had to explain what XRP is? Like, the idea that a cryptocurrency can go from being centralized to decentralized and vice versa. Can you imagine explaining that? And the implications of such technology in regards to what constitutes an investment contract? Yikes. That would not be a party, right? That would not be something I would want to try to do. Now, the judge in the SEC versus Ripple case during the recent pre-trial hearing used the preferred term of both the SEC, which is digital asset, and the preferred term of Ripple, which is cryptocurrency. And it's kind of funny for those of you that have been around for a while, you may recall that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, for most of the last few years, has been saying that he doesn't think that that XRP rather, is a cryptocurrency. He was actually arguing that it's a digital asset, which today, from a legal perspective, is what the SEC is arguing. But I want to break down the words here because the intent matters for what he meant. From a legal perspective, there's a reason that the SEC is arguing that XRP is a digital asset, and there's a reason that Ripple is arguing that it is a cryptocurrency, because they have legal implications. When Brad was speaking publicly and saying that he doesn't really think that XRP is a cryptocurrency, what he really meant, and I heard him break it down this way before, he may have been speaking at, he said it in a number of occasions, there's one that comes to mind, I think it could have been when he was speaking at, I think it was the New York Economic Club, or maybe it's called the Economic Club of New York, whatever the hell it is. I could be mistaken, but I think, because I think there was an anchor from, I want to say Fox News or Fox Business. I'm pretty sure anyway. It was I don't know if it was a year or a year and a half ago, whatever it was. But anyway, what he was getting at is this idea when he says that it's XRP is not a cryptocurrency. What he really means, the reason that he was saying that is because he doesn't view he doesn't view XRP as just a currency, for the crypto part, because it's not being used in place of fiat currency, and there's no sufficient notable push to have it used in place of fiat currency. And so that's really what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about the legal distinctions between digital asset and a cryptocurrency. What was going through his Brad Garlinghouse brain was that it's not being used as money today. And that is true. He wasn't talking about the legal distinction. So sometimes I see people bring that up. I'm just like, no, that's not really completely fair. Let's get to what he was really actually trying to explain when he said that. And it does muddy the waters, but that's why I'm trying to break this down and explain it a little bit further here, right? And so anyway, so the judge, again, with the SEC versus Ripple case, her name's Annalisa Torres. And so again, during the pre-trial hearing, and Jeremy Hogan pointed this out, just trying to remain neutral effectively by using both terms during this pre-trial. And so this shows that she's more informed than the judge in the Kick Interactive case. That's probably not surprising, right? Could you be less informed, you know? And also, she doesn't seem to want to show a preference to one side over the other, which makes sense. She understands why each side is using the term they want to use, which indicates her sophisticated understanding of the situation, in all likelihood, right? And so the judge's level of understanding in this case is actually quite important, in particular because previous crypto cases have set precedent. You know, Jeremy Hogan, attorney, went on to share additional transcript in the Kick Interactive case, in which the judge asked for opinions from other judges in similar cases. And this is the 80-year-old judge we're talking about now. And the reason he did that was basically to lean on their wisdom, as he was clearly out of his league in this particular instance. Now, Judge Annalisa Torres, on the other hand, presiding over the SEC versus Ripple case, seems to have a much greater understanding of what's going on, and that's good. You know, Jeremy also brought up an old case in which Annalisa Torres took a very hands-on approach, visiting a prison to interview inmates that made claims about abuse and poor handling from prison staff, effectively. And she went to the prison herself when she could have simply had them dragged into court, but she wanted to speak with them in their environment to gain a deeper understanding of the situation and just to see everything for herself. And so the point being that she cares about fine details and wants to determine for herself what makes sense rather than make a judgment based solely on legal precedents. And so she'll likely genuinely care that XRP holders, of which there have literally been millions over the past 8 years or so, have been severely financially harmed by the SEC charges against Ripple. And Mr. Hogan seems to think that may be the key for Ripple in winning this case. And I think that Ripple is sharp lawyers, so hopefully, I would really hope that they would have thought about this, right? Because clearly, with the approach that the SEC lawyer had with that 80-year-old lawyer in the Kick Interactive case, the SEC lawyers did not think about who their audience was. Hopefully, Ripple is. And also, again, you know, they've got somebody who's obviously quite sharp and well informed. That's what it seems, at least to this point in the story. So we'll see how everything unfolds. But I thought it was some interesting stuff here, so I wanted to share with you all this. If you guys have any thoughts, opinions, questions, would love to hear from you in the comment section below. But that is it for this latest video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.